Hi, this is Roland with the Blind Review Network. We'd like to give a special shout out to audiovault.net. That's audiovault, one word, .net. They have a library of over 4,000 movies and television episodes of audio description files available to the public. Membership is free. All they ask is a small donation to help them with keeping their servers open. So, if you would like to enjoy these movies the same way we do when we review them, go to audiovault.net, get a free membership, and start downloading today. This is a special shout out. They do not pay us for this recognition. Hi, everyone. This is Roland.
This is Mohammed.
And this is Blind Cult Movie Reviews, where we review cult movies from a blind point of view. This week, we are reviewing The Predator from 1987, directed by John McTiernan, written by Jim and John Thomas, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, and Shane Black. So, Mohammed, what were your thoughts about the audio description for this movie?
So, The Predator. I think number one, audio description in this movie is really well done. Um, Throughout the whole movie, the audio description does a good job of popping up during scenes where there's not dialogue happening. There's actual ducking, audio ducking, so you can very clearly hear the audio description. So I really appreciate that. Some of my favorite audio description standouts are whenever you get the scene from the predator's point of view, the audio describer does a fantastic job of describing what that looks like. The predator's heat vision, um, or thermal vision, I should say, is probably one of the things that stood out the most because they said that a lot in the audio description whenever it was behind his eyes. Um, and I just thought that was really cool. The movie started off with uh, Dutch, starred as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the CIA agent Dylan. They seem like they go back, and they're just chatting about it. They're chatting about this mission that they're about to go on. Dylan wants Dutch's team to go in and rescue someone, supposedly, and Dylan isn't giving him the full story because it turns out Dylan's going to tag along with Dutch's team. So they get on their helicopters and they're heading out over there to this jungle where the mission's going to take place. They find a camp of guerrilla rebels and they attack. During the attack, they find a whole bunch of what looks like green berets strung up on a tree, and it's like a whole bunch of them. They cut down those green berets, and they're like, "There's no way these guerrillas forces did this." And over time, after they attack the guerrilla camp, they get a survivor. Um, I forgot her name. I think it's
Her name's Anna.
Anna. Yes, thank you. Anna is taken as a hostage, and she is playing dumb. She doesn't. She acts like she doesn't speak English at the beginning. And there's one guy who speaks Spanish, and they do all of their conversations through him with her.
Okay, Mohammed, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about the insursion into the guerrilla camp.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, being a veteran of the naval forces, that yes, Marines are that crazy. They talk a lot of smack while they're kicking butt. I will give you a very good example. Back in the 1990s, I marched in the inauguration parade for George W. Bush, and we spent the weekend at Quantico, Virginia. That first night we were there, we went out to a nightclub, And inside this nightclub, we met a couple of sergeants. Very impressive gentlemen, I tell you. I mean, big, huge, hulking guys, just as nice as can be. And we're like, wow, we were just so impressed by them. We're like, how did you guys become such good friends? Oh, we got into a fight over a girl and we beat the hell out of each other and spent the night in the brig.
As all good friendships begin.
But yes, you've got Blaine, who Hawkins sits there and he's like, man, you're bleeding. And then, of course, Jesse Ventura gives that incredible line, I ain't got time
Got
to
time to
bleed.
bleed. And then he comes back with, you got time to duck? If I
But,
remember, the audio description said like a rocket launcher was flying over him at that point.
but we've got Anna. They've got her up. They've sat there. They've talked to her. She's talking crazy about the jungle coming alive. And it doesn't make sense to them. So they decide to take the papers and they take Anna and go to the chopper. But then Pancho, as they're heading out, he hollers there's something there, but when they look, there's nothing. It disappears. And over time, the rest of the Marines are slowly but surely. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I've been saying Marines this whole time. These are Rangers. My apologies to any Army Rangers out there. But they go out and they're slowly taken out one by the Predator. Blaine gets taken out. The big mean with the mini gun, the jungle sweeper, gets taken out. Mac, losing his good buddy, just loses his mind at that point in time, and he's ready to take out the Predator. They go chasing him down, and it down to Mac and Dylan. Mac points out where the Predator is. Dylan sees him. Mac gets his head blown off. Then there's that incredible scene. Dylan's going one-on-one with the Predator. He's got his AKs. He's shooting away. The Predator shoots him. Dylan's just shooting away, but the gun is falling to the ground with his arm attached to it. And the Predator blows him away. Eventually, it's down to just Dutch and Anna. They figure out that they're not going after Anna because she's not armed. She's not a threat. He sends her off to the chopper. Dutch takes off running, being chased by the Predator. He's chased over a waterfall, lands down into the muddy river below. The Predator is right behind him. Dutch thinks he's dead while the Predator's standing right in front of him. And it turns out that the Predator couldn't see him. Dutch has figured out the weakness of the Predator. He has heat vision. So we go into a second set of setting traps. And you want to
And he
take.
sets a bunch of them. He sets a bunch of these traps down, trying to catch the Predator. And he's, just setting up like crazy traps. Like, oh, there's one with like a tree attached to the top of it, and you trip over the line and it drops. A whole bunch of traps like that. So the Predator finds him because of this fire he makes, and he does a giant battle cry. Dutch does the battle cry, and the Predator comes for him. And
I'm not going to do
him
the
and
battle cry.
I
I refuse to do the battle cry.
think it goes a little something like "Auga." No, it's an awesome battle cry. But the Predator shows up, and they start going at it. I forget exactly how, But dude knocks the plasma rifle out of the Predator's hand, and the Predator and Dutch are going at it just hand to hand combat, and they're trading blows. And at one point, it looks like the Predator is just blasting Dutch, and he's like taking him down. But then Dutch sees that the Predator is directly under a trap, and so Dutch tries to convince the Predator to come on forward, and he's like, "Kill me! Come on!" The Predator notices the trap, moves away from it, when Dutch, being ever so perceptive, sees that the Predator standing directly below the trap, which is that big tree. So he activates the trap, and it falls and crushes the Predator.
Sorry, I don't have a head bonking sound effect.
I got one for you. So he's knocked down, but he's not dead. Dodge walks up to the Predator, and the Predator whoops out this device and presses a button,
His
and it's a
pit
bomb.
boy. His
His
pit
pit boy.
boy.
He busts out his pit boy, and he starts setting it, and it's a self-destruct sequence. Dutch, realizing it's about to blow, runs and does the awesome slow motion jump explosion scene. Um,
However, the
yeah,
best part about this scene is the fact that the Predator is mimicking Billy's laugh to one of the worst jokes I have ever heard.
the joke goes, I want to say, it's Billy from the beginning of the scene, movie, and he goes, let's see.
Oh, it was Hawkins. Hawkins was telling the joke.
Oh, Hawkins. Hawkins was telling the joke to Billy. So Hawkins tells a joke. Oh man, he tells like a bunch of jokes in this movie. I forget the specific one.
Oh, this I remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
Guy sitting there with his girlfriend, and he says, "Boy, you have a big pussy. Boy, you have a big pussy." The girl says, "You didn't have to say it twice." The guy goes, "I didn't."
Ah! And then Billy laughs, and at the beginning of the movie, the Predator records that laugh, and it sounds way more demonic when the Predator does it, and then he does it at that explosion scene as the explosion is happening.
And from there, we go to the helicopter flying across the sky with Anna and Dutch on board.
And
At,
then the end scene.
all in all, as far as action movie goes, as far as horror movies go, as far as science fiction movies go, this is one of the best from the 80s.
Yeah, I really like this movie. As a fan of the survival horror genre, um, it really touched on that aspect of you may have great power, but there's always something more powerful out there.
And here's a little bit of trivia for you. Did you know this movie is actually a remake?
What is it a remake of?
A B movie from the 1970s called Alien Invader. I do believe it was. It was Alien Invader or Alien Hunter. I can't remember exactly. I just remember it had the guy who played Curly from City Slickers and the guy who played Bela Lugosi in the biopic for the guy who made those really bad movies, Plan 9 from Outer Space. But it's hilarious. But here's another bit of coincidental trivia. Uh, believe it's Aaron Michael Hall, Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator in this movie, also played the alien in Alien Hunter. Talk about a movie connection right there.
Yeah.
You know, and Kevin Peter Hall is actually a replacement for the actor who initially was playing the Predator. Initially, it was Jean Claude Van Damme who was playing the Predator. But he wasn't happy with the filming conditions in Mexico. He wasn't happy he was in a full body suit. And he wasn't happy that he wasn't able to show off his martial arts skills. So they made the decision to replace him.
I wanted to see some kung fu moves from the Predator. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, let's see him do a scorpion. Get over here!
That would have been awesome. That would have been an awesome fight scene at the end, though.
Well, the Predator was in a Mortal Kombat video game.
He was, yeah. I think it was either 10 or 11. I forget which one specifically, but he was.
Yeah, I think that was the one where they had like Leatherface, Jason, and Michael Myers, I do believe.
That's definitely 10.
But yeah, that was I definitely think the Predator fit that series very well.
Yeah, 100%. Um, yeah. I honestly want to say that the Predator really, to me, it struck so much more as a survival horror thing because talking about tie-in like alternate media, survival horror like with Resident Evil, you think of that, you know, you got these police special units going after.
Stars.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like Nemesis comes to mind.
I'm
When
sorry. That's all. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Nemesis. Stars.
yeah, so it's that same kind of survival horror where it's like you got all this power, you got gun power, you got all this, but it ain't enough for the big bad. And I really feel like Predator struck that really really well. But also all the action scenes definitely keep it within the action realm. Um, so yeah, for me, I rated a I rated a 9 out of 10. Um, when it comes to survival horror, I think
On a whole, I rated a 9 out of 10. It's one of those movies where lines are repeatable. You remember what happened. I remember in 1987 when I saw this movie when it came out. I grew up in a small rural town in central Kentucky, but we still had grindhouse movie theaters there. I remember the sticky floors and the popcorn all over the place, the funny smells coming out of the corners. But it was just one big, huge theater, one screen. And it was just, I remember riding to the theater on my bike, waiting to watch this incredible movie, which I had to wait until Sunday because it was my day off from work. But watching Predator in a movie theater was a much different experience as to watching it at home. Of course, then again, I could see then.
Tell me a bit about the movie theater experience.
Oh, geez. Well, this is going to sound awful strange, but if you watch a lot of the movies from the 70s and the 80s where a movie theater appears in it, that's how this theater was laid out. It was organized where you go up to the front. There's the ticket booth with the glass window around the ticket seller right there. You go to the right to go in, the double doors. You have the refreshment stand directly in front of you. Of course, back then it was only a selection of about 10 candy bars, three sizes of popcorn, and three sizes of soda. They hadn't got to the supersized big monster tubs yet. But you go into this theater, and ours was one that had an upper balcony to it. Never open, but it had a big stage because back in the 50s and 60s, there would be stage productions that were performed at that theater. And then, of course, there was the large screen, which was down in front. But back in those days, it was a much more relaxed experience. People would talk, but not insanely loud. They would try to keep it to where they were just talking with the people they were with. You didn't have a lot of ushers going through kicking people out. And it was never any late night movie showings. There were no midnight showings at our theater. But anyone who is over the age of 50 would definitely understand what the movie going experience was like.
What was it like seeing the Predator in the theater?
Loud. Loud. The jungle sweep scene where they're shooting the minigun to try and get the predator. In those days, it wasn't 5.1 Dolby Digital. It was standard stereo, two speaker or four speaker. And there was a four speaker setup in this theater, two in the front, two in the back, standard left right channels. And back then, because you didn't have THX so that you could feel the sound, you simply turned up the volume and raised the bass. you know, in now most everything in theaters are digital. Back then, everything was analog. It was nothing for a cheap B movie on the first or second night. You may not get to see the entire movie because a reel's missing. But many of the weird movies that we call cult movies or B movies today from the 70s and 80s, back then it was very much a There were no such things as genre A movies. Horror movies were not considered A-list movies. Science fiction movies, even though, by that point, you know, Empire Strikes Back had come out. Empire was, I would say, Empire would be the first science fiction A movie. And since all those genre movies weren't A movies, but that's what a lot of the theaters were carrying because it wasn't like today where, Scream 7 comes out Friday and it comes out Friday nationwide from coast to coast. Back then, it was regional. You know, it may be, oh, you've got, some places in California, some places, in New York, Boston area would get the first viewing of the bigger movies. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, they would spread out across the rest of the nation.
My God. So how long did it take for Predator to come to your town?
Surprisingly, we got it the first weekend.
Well, that's pretty lucky.
That was very lucky. It like I said, in that time period, the mid late 80s, you started to that was when you really started to see genre movies start to become quote unquote A-list movies. Some worked out great. You had your Star Treks, your Star Wars sequels. You had those that didn't work out so well. Friday the 13th. And, and I know there are even more that I could name that right now just skip the top of my head.
No problem. So it sounded like you got really lucky to get it in the first week of release. And when you went there, it sounded like despite the technology at the time, you still had a really awesome experience in the theater,
Oh,
especially that
yes.
minigun scene you mentioned earlier.
Well, you've also got to remember back in those days, it was real easy to sneak into the theaters. So I got to see a lot of free movies too.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, folks, that's The Predator. If you enjoyed that, we ask that you like and please subscribe. Be on the lookout for more reviews coming from us. And join us next time for Arnie 80s through the month of April.
This has been the Blind Review Network. I'm Mohammed,
I'm Roland.
and we thank you for watching. And hope to see you next time.